So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set everything up here and we're gonna do some tuning, some system tuning. This is probably one of the most exciting parts because here's where you're at. You build some speakers and you kind of have an idea where you want to cross them over. And pretty soon, either they're already out or pretty soon I'm going to have videos on how to pick drivers, how to look at crossover points, how to look at off-axis performance, how to predict these things a little bit. But in this video, you've already built the speakers. You're already looking at what am I going to do to tune them. So what I'm going to do is just walk you through what I do. Yeah, let's get started. So what I have right now is I've got the AC650 right here. It's connected to channel 1, 2, channel, so I believe I have channel 1, 2, and 3, channel 4, 5, and 6. That's how I have it hooked up. And I'll have it both on my iPhone and I'll have it on the Mac as well. And let's do this. So first things first, I'm gonna go ahead, yeah, I've got some presets here, but we're gonna start from scratch. Like there's literally nothing there. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Room EQ Wizard, REW, okay? And it detected that I have the microphone, the UMic 1, connected. So I'm gonna say, yes, I have it connected, and I have a calibration file attached to it. If you don't have it, you can look it up on their website and get it, and you've got the calibration file. So now what we'll want to do is actually, in my case, I'm a little bit far away from the AC650, so we're not going to be doing time alignment in this video. I'm just going to be doing frequency stuff, just getting the frequencies. We're just getting started. So what I'll do is I'll connect with Bluetooth to it, and that will give me basically everything I need. Like I don't need to run a long wire or nothing like that. So first things first, you would go and make sure your Bluetooth is on, connect to AC650. Okay, so we've got Bluetooth connected. And once you have Bluetooth connected, you will have AC650 out here. And what you want to do, I'm basically on my phone, I'm just going like halfway volume, and I'm going to go ahead and check level. Let's go ahead and check level. Turn it up. Okay, so obviously we've got sound coming through. So, okay, this is a great start. I'm going to go ahead and just solo 1 and 4. 1 and 4, well, I'm sorry, it's 3 and 6. Okay, before I do this, what I usually do is I'll go ahead and say, you know, I'll make these, it's a long press, and I made this one my tweeter, and I made this one my tweeter, okay? And I'll probably put right tweeter here, and I'll put left tweeter here. So I'll just remember that. And I'll go ahead and solo them. So there's a couple of things we can do to start measuring them. But let's just get the very first thing, let's just get a general idea of what each individual driver is doing. What are their characteristics in place where the speakers are going to live? I love, you know, I've done some measurements outside to get like more an anechoic chamber, but I need to know what they're doing in the room. That's why I've got the microphone here, because really this chair, I'm going to be sitting in this chair. I'm going to move it closer. My head's going to be somewhere in this region. That's why the mic is there. And first thing, what I'm going to do is I am soloing right now my tweeters, and I'm going to do it at the same time. Some people like to do both one speaker at a time, which you can do, but I like to do them at the same time when I first get started, and this is how we do it. So first, let's go ahead and do measure. Okay, okay, and let's go ahead. Let's go to 20,000, 20, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and let's not start at 20 hertz because we're just going to be testing the tweeters. Okay, with tweeters, let's start at 500. Okay, so let's just see what the tweeters are doing. I'm going to go ahead and press start. I mean, I can already tell these are really nice tweeters because Holy moly, that was amazing. What I also like to do is play some music. Let me play some music I can actually play on YouTube. Can I do that? Let's just play some music. All we should hear right now is the tweeters. Yeah. These are pretty good tweeters. That's all I hear is the tweeters. So that measurement that we've got, definitely this measurement right here, this was just the tweeters. I like to smooth these out a little bit so you could see what's going on. So I'll do a 24th. Will you look at those tweeters? Oh my gosh. These are really, really nice. Holy macaroni. Holy mackerel. Like, they went down way past my expectations, way past my expectations. I might actually cross them over lower. I don't understand how they're even doing this. I don't want to overstress them though, because as I go higher in volume, which we will, I don't want them to get damaged or anything like that, which they won't. But I think the lowest I can cross them is around 650, 700, which is friggin' amazing. The next thing, let's move on. I'm so impressed with these tweeters from measurements, okay? And I'll have a whole other video how different tweeters sound. Like, these are aluminum, so they sound very different from like ceramic or poly or beryllium and things like that. They all sound different. So this one sounds a little different, but measurement-wise, these SB acoustics are insane. So the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna unsolo those, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to the mids. Now we're gonna be measuring these guys. We're gonna be measuring those. So let's solo those, okay? 2 and 5. And for 2 and 5, I'm gonna go ahead and call it the mids. Call it mids. This is mid right. Mid left. Okay, and there they are. This is my mid right, mid left. Let's run the measurement. Let's just see where they are. Okay. So these are pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and smooth it out a little bit. Okay, so you could see that these are really, really nice. Like, I can go down, let's see. Well, will you? Okay, let's look here. So there are some things that we're gonna have to EQ here, because this is not a perfect room, and I am gonna EQ anything like under like 700 hertz. I EQ stuff. People are like, don't EQ it. I EQ. You'll see why. Hopefully we'll cover it, if not in this video, in the next one. But right now, what I'm doing is I'm seeing where things are, and really, I could theoretically just, it gets pretty straight from about 400 hertz all the way to 3K. Okay, it's quite impressive how straight this thing is from about 390. Okay, 390, and then it's a bit jagged. However, let's see what the subs are doing. So we soloed those. Yeah, let's cancel the solo. Let's go back to channel 1 and 4. Channel 1 and 4 are going to be our bass, and channel 4 is going to be our bass. Okay, channel 1 and 4 is our bass, and we're going to solo that. Now that we've got those, let's go ahead and run it. There's a lot of noise here because we've got the AC going and stuff, but let's go ahead and actually see what is happening here. So there's some room modes here, and there's all sorts of reflective surfaces and stuff like that, but you could see, I mean, I could probably take this thing like into 1,000 hertz, absolutely, but we're not going to do that. Remember, let's look at all three of them together. Okay, And let me make this a little smaller. That's kind of, okay. So the blue one is the bass, the green one is the mids, and the red one is the highs. What's interesting, which is very, very interesting, is that the blue one and the green one are very similar, very similar. Matter of fact, there's some areas that the green one is actually has got some more energy to it. So we could go a couple different ways here, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus all the bass at the bottom because that's what that driver is there for. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let the bottom one ride till about, let's say 400 hertz. I mean, that's a lot. I was gonna do it at 100, but it does look like I could do that. Okay, and then we'll go to the mids. Now, one thing I'm gonna do, so what is the sound wavelength of 400 hertz frequency? What is the wavelength? Just ask Google, ask AI, whatever, and we'll know, let's say in inches. It's so 400 hertz is 2.881 feet. Okay, so it's 2.81 feet. Over here, I don't have a tape measure, but this is definitely smaller than 2.81 feet, which is totally doable. Like, you don't want to have something that's like, your wavelength is like 3 inches, which is like right here, but you're putting a speaker down there. You want to be within that wavelength. You want to make sure that your sound fits in within that wavelength. So if it says 2 feet and 81 inches for 400 hertz, that means if this is less than that, you're okay. So we can cut it off at 400. Let's try that for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the crossover, and I love my FIR crossovers. So I'm going to go ahead and create an FIR crossover at 400. I'm going to do a low pass filter. I'm going to do the invisible filter at 400 modify, and we're going to do 24 dB per octave. That's Linkwitz, what's his name, Ziegfeld, Nyquist or Linkwitz. Yeah, he really liked 24. I always start there. So let's start at 24. So we just sent all those taps to the amplifier. So now we're cutting off the bottom at 400. Now let's go to my mids. The mids will have to start. We're going to start them at 400. So we're going to have a high pass at 400. Okay? But wait a minute. Let's create that at first, and let's look at them real quick. So this is my crossover between my lows and mids. But now let's take a look at our graphs, okay? And you could see that essentially there's a lot of overlap, super easy overlap. So we can literally pick, I would say, like 1 kilohertz. Let's do, what is this? 1.2 kilohertz. These overlap super nicely. And we're gonna have to get the gains right too, and I'm gonna start on that almost immediately. We're gonna get the gains right. First of all, the bass, we're gonna wanna bring that up. I like to have my gain up higher on the bass, or bring down the highs and because the sensitivity on this one is much lower than these, so that means I need more power for those. So these are going to be a little more quiet than those, so I'm going to have to bring these down. And I'll talk about sensitivity probably in another video. Not probably, definitely I'll talk about sensitivity. It's super, super important. It's not even the power that's important, which it is, but the biggest thing is sensitivity, to understand how sensitive something is. Like if you say something mean to it and it starts crying right away, that means it's sensitive. That means a little bit of power. I don't know if this makes sense, but I like sensitive speakers a lot. Like little sensitive, and they're emotional. So okay, let's do the crossover. So okay, so let's go back into my mids. Okay, let's go back to the FIR filter. But this time I know I started from 400, but I also want to do 400 plus 1200 all in one pass like this. So I've got it started at 400 and it goes down to 1200. Let's create it. Boom. I just created some FIR filters. How awesome. And then these, we're gonna do a high pass filter, FIR high pass, also invisible. Let's do a high pass filter of 1200, because that's where we left off on the other one. Let's go ahead and create it. And let me show you all three of these, what they look like, okay? And it looks like there's a giant gap there, but we'll see. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. This is what electrically we're doing, but in reality, let's, we'll take a look what's actually happening. So first things first, let's measure, let's take off the solo, okay? And let's once again run let's start with the bass. Yeah, let's make sure that everything is actually turned off. So let's solo just the bass, we're soloing the bass. And let's go ahead and name these. I haven't named them. So this is tweeter, mids, raw, it's all raw. Raw, bass, raw. Okay. So now we're gonna go ahead and measure just the bass section. We don't need to go to 20K. Let's go to about 500 just to see what it does. Let's go. Okay, we've got some serious dips right here, like some serious dips. And that has to do with this room. There are going to be times where there's not much you could do about that with DSP. You like have to do something about the room, because when you measure these out in the open, these dips don't exist. But here in this room, these dips do exist. I'm just very curious, if I was to flip the phase, actually, can we look at the phase? What's happening at the phase here? So right here, phase changes at 125. Okay, I probably shouldn't be doing this now, but I'm so curious, like what would happen if I flip the phase again right at this spot? And I'm just gonna do it real quick and we'll get back to, so 125, I'm gonna go ahead and do all pass phase. And, let's do 125. Oops. 125, yeah. Okay, let's see what that does. I just flipped the phase, and we're doing this together, so we'll learn something together. Does it do anything? So it did move the phase, but not our frequency response. It basically did absolutely nothing. All right, the next thing, let's go ahead and take off this. Let's run this guy, and this guy is from 400 hertz to 1.2 kilohertz. So we're gonna go ahead and run this to about 3,000. That's good. Okay, so that makes total sense. So what we want to do is go to all SPL and turn off everything except for the last two. Okay, so as you could see, the bass is much quieter, so I need to bring this down quite significantly. Okay, so we need to bring this down by how many dB? So this is 95 to about 85, so about 10 dB. We got to bring it down by about 10 dB. So let's go ahead and bring this down by about 10 dB. Okay, let's run it one more time just so I know that I did it right. So I did turn it down. Okay, so as you could see, these are much closer to each other, much, much closer than this one. Look how much higher this one was. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on the 1K. We do have a pretty big dip here though. I don't like that at all. This dip. Let's have them kind of overlap a bit more. Yeah, let's fix that. So for this one, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, let's do 300. Let's run it one more time. So I can get rid of this one. And you should be naming these as you go. Yeah, the overlap is much better. Yeah, look at that overlap. That is much better. Hey, this is Editing Stas, and I just wanted to drop a quick line in here. As I'm looking at this video, I'm realizing that basically I would have done it a little bit differently if I would have noticed it last night. I don't think this overlay is as good as it should be. There's actually quite a bit of frequencies that are overlapping. It's a little bit more than I like. This is where I want to try NTX Pro. I want to try Link with Riley. This is where crossovers are very important, but I'll save that for another video. This is kind of an overview video of how to just tune things just in general so you get the process. However, at this juncture, what I would really want to do is try different crossovers, different types of crossovers to see how they overlap with each other. All right, let's go back to the video. Now let's do this one. And remember, with this one, we had to bring it a little bit lower. So let's go to 1000. I have a feeling that's a good idea. So let's just start there. And I'm gonna bring it down let's do like -15, because the other one we brought down -10. This one is gonna be -15. So let's do that. And let's run it. Am I soloing? Let's just make sure I'm not. So good thing I remembered. So let's go ahead and measure. We're gonna be at like 1200, so let's start at 800 and go to 20, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's kind of great. Yeah, we could definitely turn it up. There's no need to turn it down that much, so let's turn it back up by about 10. Okay, so at this point we basically have the bass, the mids, and the highs individually. We brought down the levels, we made the levels somewhat okay. We're in the ballpark. This is not perfect, but we're in the ballpark. And then we've also got our crossovers, like a starting point. Now it's time to run everything all together. Let's do a sweep. Let's take a look. Okay. Let's view this graph. And this is what we've got, okay? This is pretty flat. I mean, not really. We're gonna do some more stuff to it, but not bad. Very gradual slope. There's a couple slope flips, but honestly, not bad at all. So what I'm gonna do now is play a song. Usually at this point, I play a bunch of songs and just kind of get an idea of what I like, what I don't like. But I can't play on YouTube. I can't play any good songs. I mean, I can play stuff that I, paid for or whatever. Okay. So basically, I already have an idea what I like, what I don't like. What I do know for sure is I'm going to want more bass. It's kind of a thing of mine that I always like more bass. Oh, of course, another thing, you have to pay attention to this. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. You got to make your left speaker left and your right speaker right. This is going to make such a big difference. This is why we're having issues. Okay, guys, you have to make sure that this is your left and this is your right. Oh God, that's... Guys, I'm sorry. Let's run it. Okay. So the difference between this and this, I did just turn it up, but it's not that much, but it is much better. We did get a straighter outcome here. But what I am going to do is I'm going to bring up all this. Let me show you something real quick. So if you go to EQ, okay, now what you could do, let's lift this puppy up. Let's see what happens if I do full range. So I'm going to have this go not from 10, match range from 50 to 110. Okay, so there's quite a bit more I could do, but what I'd like to do here, because I only have 15, not only 15, but I have 15. Actually, let's run it. It's going to complain. Okay, so it gave me 10 of these EQ filters, 10 of them. That's pretty good. And it gave me, this is the predicted curve. This is the predicted curve. Okay, let's see what it actually does. Let's go ahead and export as text. Bass 1. Let's call it bass, actually test 2. Let's do bass test 2 for David and Anu. Then you go into here, you select your bass. Okay, you go into EQ, you import these, and they should just end up here. Okay, so there they are. This is what the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, the 10 that it imported. So let's do a measurement now that we've imported these. Holy moly, that is nice. All right, let's, okay. So let's compare that before the EQ, after the EQ. Before EQ, after the EQ. We're mostly looking here. Look at this to this. From this to this. Again, from this to this. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and save that as a preset. I'll put it in the cowboy hat and say EQ. This is after EQ. Save, override. Okay, cool. So now I listen to music every time. I'll listen, not necessarily the music you're hearing because I can't play some of this stuff. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and save that preset for sure. I'm gonna do another one, save this one as the guitar, save new. And I can now go between the two because what I did was I edited a little bit during the, during the music playing. I kind of edited it real quick from what I heard. And now I wanna go back to the one that we measured with the levels to this one. I can be here till 4 in the morning doing this, but maybe not tonight. This is how you get started. This is how you get going. There's so much more I'd love to cover. There is this whole phase thing, the left channel, right channel, how to get them aligned right, how to get FIR versus IIR. There's quite a bit, but this is just like the video. What do you do? What do you first do when you first get your speaker set up? How do you get it to this?